Anita and I were visiting some friends 2 weeks ago, right before thinking about the mercy of visiting the sick. And we were having dinner with Jim and Sue, and Jim's, I don't know, probably 15 or 20 years older than I am. And I was listening to him share with me some of his faith journey. And Jim, like myself, is a convert. And he shared with me in terms of coming into the church, being married, having children. And then along the way, he said, one of the most significant moments, or a trigger moment to really propel me to another level in my faith, he said, my priest came to me and said, Jim, I really need somebody to take the Eucharist to the sick and to the infirm in our parish. And Jim said, hey, I'm not your guy. I don't like hospitals. I don't like being around sick people. I don't think I'm comfortable carrying and taking the Eucharist. And the priest, he said, my pastor said to me, he said, just do it one time. He said, if you'll just do it one time, I'll leave you alone about it. And so Jim said, I wanted to be obedient. I wanted to be helpful to my priest. So he gave me what I needed to do. And I went and I did it. I went to the hospital and I visited several people, and I took them the Eucharist, and I sat and I visited with them for a few minutes. So I go back to church. The priest sees me again. He said, Jim, I know you don't really want to have visiting the sick kind of as a part of what you do. I really appreciate you doing it that one time. Would you just do it for me one more time? Would you just do it one more time? And Jim said, okay, Father, I'll do that. And so Jim had the Eucharist, and he went and he visited some shut-in folks and some people in a nursing home, and went to a hospital. He said, okay, I fulfilled my obligation, my duty to Father. Goes back to church. The priest said, Jim, well, just one more, all right? And I promise I won't ask you again. Will you please just do it one more time? So Jim does it the third time, and he said, by the time I had done it 3 times, lots of things began to happen in my soul and my spirit, is that I began to become comfortable in those settings, because now I knew what these people looked like when I showed up with the Blessed Sacrament, when I showed up with the Eucharist. Folks who had been isolated because of their illness, because of their sickness, they weren't able to make it to Mass, and I was bringing some of that to them, and I was bringing the Eucharist to them, and how their eyes would light up, and how they valued the fact that I would just sit there and be with them for a few minutes and bring some human presence into their life, because they'd been so isolated. Maybe they had a few people who would be with them, but it was the same people all the time. And to have somebody new, change the scenery a little bit, bring a little different kind of oxygen into the room, and bring the Eucharist. And so after doing that for 3 times in a hospital and a nursing home and a few shut-ins, I realized what a tremendous gift this was. And so ever since then, he said that was like 20 years ago. It's the best part of my faith now, is to do that week in and week out, and to be with people knowing that I'm stepping through or puncturing the isolation that they're in, and bringing, in my own little small way, bringing in the presence of Jesus in the Eucharist, but also just bringing human relationship and human love and human mercy in visiting the sick. He said it's been the biggest blessing and the biggest catalyst for my own spiritual life, and I never would have done it had the priest not told me, not once, not twice, but 3 times, Jim, would you please just go visit the sick?